Welcome to the Real and Real Estate Podcast, your go-to show for real estate success. Whether you're an agent aiming to crush it or a buyer or seller wanting the inside scoop, we're here to deliver expert advice, insider tips, and the real talk you need. Each episode, we chat with top industry pros to give you the facts, strategies, and inspiration you need to thrive in this business. Let's dive in and make big moves together. Hi, welcome back to the Real and Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about the facts and dispel the myths. And today I'm here with the wonderful Erica Wolfe of the Wolfe Team. She's from Jupiter, Florida, and she's been known as the Wolfe of Real Estate, which I love that. Absolutely. Welcome, Erica. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much. Yes, I am a real estate agent in Jupiter, Florida. I was born and raised here. That's basically the northern Palm Beach County area. I've been in real estate for 17 years. I have an amazing team. There's 8 of us. And I've had the team for the past 7 years, and we specialize in farming and digital marketing. I would say is more of our niche, and living like a Jupiter native.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I think you have 4 agents and a transaction coordinator and a director of marketing and operations. Am I correct?
Yep, and a showing assistant slash assistant.
Wow, so you do have a great team.
Yes.
Well, I'm just so excited to have you on here. I know you're a big proponent of education, as am I. And I always like to talk to people that actually believe in that, because I feel if I know more, then I can do a better job for my client and for myself as well.
Well, and I think the industry can have not a great reputation among the public. And I think for the agents that really are in this full time and it's their career, it is our duty to help other agents uphold a better reputation for us. So something I really strive to the agents on my team is, if you have an agent on the other side of a transaction that seems like they don't know what they're doing, instead of like being rude about it, there's such a learning opportunity for them.
Yes.
Such a learning opportunity. Teach them the right way. Like if we're going to come across them again in our area, which, the agents that do a lot of business, we all work together. Like, you want to work with people that get deals done and do it smoothly. We want our job to be easy. It's not, but we want it to be. And it's easier when people know what they're doing.
As easy as possible. Yes. No, I agree completely. As many agents with any experience out there, we've all had an agent on the other side that wasn't quite sure of the process or the procedure, and you have to help them. You have to. So, there are so many topics we could talk about today with you. I mean, you're so successful, and I actually started in 2008 also, and I had someone tell me, they said, "What are you thinking? What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I've got no place to go but up." So I'm assuming you feel the same way. I felt the same way.
Yeah. I mean, everyone thinks like, wow, what an awful time to get in. I look at it as the opposite. It was such an amazing time for me. I was 21 years old. I had 2 kids. I just needed more money. I was doing insurance at the time, and a lot for mortgage brokers, writing the insurance for them. And
Okay.
you started seeing those commission checks, on the settlement statements. And I'm like, well, they're making a lot more than I am. I didn't realize the residuals that come in through insurance, whereas, real estate, you
Yes.
have to keep going and getting your business. But at that time, I was like, I'm going to do this. And I got licensed, and I had an amazing opportunity with an attorney who did short sales and foreclosures. I
Perfect.
was basically bottom of the tier, but there was only 2 agents there. He had a partner that was a brokerage. Everything was 50-50. But when I say I worked so hard on some short sales that were 40,000, 60,000. So those commission checks weren't big, but we did a lot of volume. I got to really understand, well, the whole short sale and foreclosure process through and through. And then it spun into building relationships through marketing with some amazing investors.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I actually got my SFR designation during that time for the same
Yeah.
reason. Didn't do a lot of those, but it sure came in handy having
Yeah.
that designation and helping people in and out.
Yeah.
Well, what would you like to talk about today? I know you said farming and digital ads. I know you even have a course on digital ads, if I remember
Do.
correctly.
I do. That's probably my most common topic people ask of me. And it's probably the one I talk the most about. So I'm happy to discuss something else as well, or we can, if you're into the tech side of it, I'm open to
Well,
really
I guess
anything.
one Okay, well, I do want to talk about that. I do want to address that, especially since you have a course. But I also want to talk about here you've gone in 17 years, starting at the bottom of the chain and going all the way up to owning your own team or having your own team. And how does one do that? For anyone out there listening that maybe has a few years experience, they're doing really well, they want to grow. What are your suggestions? What's your guidance?
So this is perfect because I literally spoke on this yesterday at a conference,
Oh,
and it was
okay.
my first time actually speaking on it, and I really did enjoy it. It was on scaling a team, and building out the SOPs of it all. For me, I did wait. Carrie's been with me 7 years, so basically almost a decade, before formatting the team. I don't know if it was just in survival mode, having the two children, like worried about covering upfront cost,
Right.
you know, splitting those commissions. I'm not sure what the fear was, but I can tell you it was fear driven, why it took me so long to create the team. And I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. I can tell you that. So, and knowing what I know now, I know what steps not to do and what steps that you should do first. The biggest thing, and I think due to the internet now, we have so many Facebook groups and real estate groups and communities that really help each other. So this probably isn't, a kept secret. But now I would start with the transaction coordinator. If you're a solo agent, like you've got to have a transaction coordinator. That's going
Mhm.
to buy back so much more of your time.
It
Then
does.
yeah, so much more. I mean, I was doing everything myself. When I say I was a one-man show, when I went off from with the attorneys in the short sales and foreclosures, it was truly a one-man show.
Mhm.
And then wish I would have known about a transaction coordinator back then. But I think now that's why I mentioned the Facebook groups and everything. I think it's more relevant and common for, these companies that are just transaction coordinators that you can hire, you don't have to train, and they can really
Right.
walk you and your clients through the process. The next hire would be a buyer's agent immediately, because it is almost nearly impossible to be a really good listing agent and a really good buyer's agent just because of time constraints, right? Like if you
Yes.
have three buyers that all want to see on the same day, how are you able to service any of those listings?
Not very well.
So that would be my next hire. And then once you kind of got like the camaraderie, everything's kind of working, you figure out the flow, then it's probably an assistant. And then it's probably another buyer's agent. And I like to take my first buyer's agent and transitioned her to both buying and listing. And now all my agents are both. But I like to start
Right.
them, especially if they're newer in the industry, with the buyers side of it all before we lean into the listing side. And I do strongly recommend that because you learn a lot as a buyer's agent through a transaction.
Absolutely.
You learn a
Absolutely.
lot.
And you
So,
see both sides at the same time.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. I think as if you were to jump in and just think you're going to get all of these listings, it's rather hard because you don't understand the market data. You don't understand what things are selling for. You probably haven't been in a whole bunch of homes. And I do like to tell people, our job as real estate agents is truly being a real estate advisor, and we're supposed to be knowing all of the homes that are on the market in our area, and we're supposed to be the resource to our clients. And how can you advise if you're not studying the market? How can you advise if you're not going into
Absolutely.
homes? So
Absolutely.
that's pretty much the foundation that our team is built on. And it did take me quite some time to let go of the control. And through that, I figured out the best way for me to let go of the control was, that first buyer's agent, she had to do everything my way. Right. I was like, these are my clients. I want them to be treated like me, like how I would
Right.
treat them. Like
Yes.
there's this standard we have to get by. And I'm like, but how does she know this standard? So any question we created a system. So I created multiple Google Docs. It kind of started with one. And I went in detail. Any question that was asked, like, here is the answer to this, and here's what I do. Here's the answer. Here's what I do. I also blind copied
Perfect.
her on a lot of emails so she could see how I handled the transaction through and through, even when
Wonderful.
she wasn't involved. And then the biggest thing is being an in-office team. I really, really believe that they should be in office. Because if I'm handling a transaction or handling an issue with another agent or with a seller or with a buyer, I'm not going to hang up the phone and then call that agent and let them know how I handled that issue. But
Yeah.
what I will do if they're in the office is put my phone on speaker so they can
And then they can
hear
learn.
everything and they can learn. That's all it is.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
perfect. I agree. And there's a camaraderie and culture that comes with everybody being together. I think it's very positive.
Yes. We really try to be 9 to 12 in the office. Eh, we have some of those clients that require showings only in the morning, but it's
Sure.
actually rare. Once you formulate it and say, hey, the house is available at this time, most clients are actually pretty flexible. And why I stick by that 9 to 12 in the office is because you're not going to call your leads. You're not going to follow up. You're not going to do that stuff in the afternoon. If you've been showing all morning and you've been around
You're
people,
exhausted.
you're exhausted. You're not
Hmm.
going to do it. You exerted that energy. So, and like you said, the energy, if we're all calling leads, if we're all following up, if we're all like, heck yeah, I got a listing appointment. Oh, yeah, finally, that buyer I've been working on for 2 years is ready, right? Like you feed off of each other.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I agree completely. And now, time for a short break.
Hi, I'm Natalie Hartman, and I'm the owner and principal designer of Morph Home Staging and Design. At Morph, we specialize in vacant and occupied home staging, interior design, Airbnb and renovation design, as well as furniture rental for short and long-term rentals, which includes residential properties, assisted living communities, and model homes. For further information on these services that we offer, visit our website at Morphe, and that's Morphe, Home Staging and Design, or you can call us at 281-826-6744. We look forward to transforming your space.
Well, now that you've formed your team and you're doing very well, of course, you were doing well before. I know a lot of your business you feel was built on farming and social media and ads. Tell us a little bit about that because I think that's really, we could learn a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think video is so prevalent right now. Everybody, says put out videos, put out videos. Um, I just happen to be utilizing videos for over the past decade. I want to say kind of before everyone jumped on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was due to my age or what. I started videos as more of just utilizing the tech platforms. It actually started on Snapchat, believe it or not, which people are like, what? Because it had filters and none of these other things
Ah,
had filters yet.
yeah.
And it was more like funny, kind of making fun of my day or things that happen. And it felt safe on that platform. Only my friends saw it. And then I ended up getting a deal from it. And again, I think this is like 12 years ago. I ended up getting a deal from it. And people then started saying, you should post that on Facebook. This was way before Facebook was like video first. Instagram was photos, it just wasn't really happening at that time. But when I got a good commission check from this video, I was like, all right, whatever, I'll post it on, Facebook. And then started kind of getting referrals. And then I'm like, all right, I'm just going to show up. And a lot of people have a hard time because they're just uncomfortable or insecure and, imposter syndrome, whatever it is. And I was as well. But once you realize it works, you're just like, just go through it, go through it. So we're
Just do it.
video first. I was back then also very big in the Facebook local communities. So like Jupiter Locals, Jupiter Mamas, like we have all these local
Right.
community groups.
Subgroups.
Yep. Providing value. That's it. Providing value. Not like, hi, I'm a real estate agent. This is what I do. If somebody asked for a painter, I would just provide a painter's name. If somebody asked for a swim lessons teacher, I would just provide it. And I never was like, I'm a real estate agent and this is who I refer my clients to. I was just a human. I was their neighbor, right?
Right. Right. The
And
go-to person.
yeah. And if your profile is set up right, people are nosy, like they just are. And they go
Yeah.
click it. And then my profile has like, well, she's a real estate agent, right? And so it kind of slowly built from that organically. And then it was 10 years ago, I just got a memory on it, was when I took my first digital ads course. It wasn't for real estate. I actually flew out to Dallas, Texas, and it was just how to run a digital sales funnel. They like taught you how to build out landing pages, taught you how to do all of the stuff behind the computer. Because my intention with that was, okay, I'm getting my friends, right, from these platforms, but I'm still kind of young. How do I get people who aren't my friends to trust me in this industry?
Right.
Sellers that are maybe selling more expensive homes, or, buyers that are buying more expensive homes. How do I get them to trust me? Or how do I get in front of them even? So that's why I went down the sales funnels course. Over the years, I've really modified it to what I think works for us. And that's now what I teach in my course. It's truly um, my formula of what I do. My community video, which is like my town, then my neighborhood video, which is the neighborhood that the home is in, and then the listing video, and then a carousel photos. And it's all just targeted ads. You just see them as the sponsored. We do that with every property, and now everybody just sees us everywhere. We typically hold around 15 to 20 listings a month we cycle through. So as you can imagine, it's quite a bit of ads. And
Yes.
we're retargeting. And I've been saving these audiences, basically anybody who's been interested in our area, for several years now. So we stay in front of everyone, and it works. 5 years ago, we added the print to it as well. So they now just go hand in hand, and we mail out probably, we have a farm of 5,000 homes,
A
but on
lot.
a monthly basis, we send out around, I would say, 12,000 mailers.
And would those be postcards, newsletters? What would those be?
Postcards, yeah, postcards, and we have a variety of different ones. Um, I did trainings on print advertising, and it says that somebody has to see your name 13 times before they remember it.
Mhm.
So whenever you choose a farm area, you have to really make sure you're committed, and
Yeah,
you're not going
don't.
to see the fruits of that labor.
Yeah, it's not going to happen in a month or two. Not
Mm-mm.
likely.
Mm-mm. And I never will just send a one-off, like just sold to a neighborhood, unless I have intention of like hitting that neighborhood multiple times.
Very
So
smart.
that's
Good use.
basically very short Cliff Note version.
Well, how would they get your course? How would they find your course?
So it's Wolfe, my last name, Wolfe, and then core, CORE.com, wolfcore.com.
Oh, very good. Okay, so if
Yeah.
anyone's interested in learning more, they can
Yeah.
certainly go there.
Thank you for letting me
Um,
pitch that too.
well, of course, why not? Again, it's education, right?
Hmm.
That's one of the reasons I started this podcast was because there are so many agents out there, mostly new, but a lot of agents that do have experience that still don't quite get the policies and the procedures sort of thing. And I thought, well, this is a great way to bring that information to them. Hopefully they're
I
listening
love
to
it.
this as they're driving around or doing their housework or something, but I always try to provide value. And I agree with you completely. Be a resource. I'm not one to stand up and go, oh, I'm so wonderful. I just did this. I just did that. No, let me just tell you what's in my world. And
Yep.
bringing people like you to talk to us is one of those resources.
Well, I love it. Thank you. The other benefit of helping other agents in your community if they don't know something, and the biggest sign I feel like is if you have an agent who is being super defensive and kind of grouchy with you, there's something going on. Like they're trying to just show their muscle in a sense.
Right, right,
You're like, all right, we need to bring this tone down. We need to figure out like they either don't know what they're doing and they're trying to scream their way to like getting their way, like a little temper
right.
tantrum. Um, And if we can teach them, they're going to remember that forever. And if they're again on the other side of a deal, say they're listing a home and we have a buyer for it and it's a multiple offer situation, they're going to be more likely to push our offer to their clients because
Right,
they want to work with us again. They will
right.
when you're easy to work with.
I also have the MCNE designation, which is negotiating, and that's what they talk about in there. You've got the bully, for lack of better words. You've got the person that wants to try and make everything work for everybody, and then you've got the person that just kind of cowers and goes away. So if the bully's looking for the person that's going to cower. You have to be the person in the middle to make it work for everybody. That's my opinion.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So, what advice would you give an agent just starting out in the business? Would it be learning about farming and social media?
Yeah, I mean, in general, it's learning, right? A big umbrella of learning.
Mhm.
Find a great mentor. Don't think you're going to make hundreds of thousands your first couple of years. Be okay with paying for your education, right? And what I mean by that is most people go to a 4-year university to make a couple hundred or 100,000 a year, right? With this degree
Right.
that cost them. I mean, my son's at UF right now, and college is a lot more expensive than I ever
Than it
actually
was.
anticipated it, by the way. And he has 2 scholarships. But um, you're not paying for that in real estate, but you are. Give it 3 years. Be okay with splitting deals. Be okay with taking small commission splits if you can find a great mentor, if you can
That's
find a
so
great
important.
office and just shadow them. Shadow them. I actually have a friend who just got licensed. And I told her if I were to do it all over again, what would I do? I said, well, in our area specifically, we really don't have a lot of commercial agents. And we have one agent specifically who's pretty dominating in it. Um, I think he's getting closer to like retirement age. And what I would do is approach him and say, can I be your assistant? I will get your coffee. I will do whatever you want. Can I ride in the car with you? Can I print your papers? Can I make your presentations? I don't care what stupid work I have to do for you, but can I?
Right.
Let me learn from you. But you're not just learning as people like that, you're going to gain their Rolodex and maybe make a business partner out of them. So I
Right.
said with this person particularly, I was like, learn, show them you know what you're talking about that you have learned, right? And then say, hey, can I get 30% of all of your deals? Like do the reverse referral fee, right? Say, I'll take
Right.
30% for the next 2 years of your deals. Go get your own deals also, but of his deals, take the 30. After 2 years, say, I want to go to 50-50. 2 years after that, I want to go to 70-30. And then you just took his Rolodex. And that is a great plan for, like, that's a win-win. And
For
you just learn
everybody.
from somebody who's been in the industry for 30 years and truly has a monopoly on our market in that commercial field. And why I also say commercial to a lot of people is I feel like they really do have a lot more set hours. They are more of like a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 kind of
Yeah.
situation. When you start out in residential real estate, especially when you're at the bottom of the food chain, you're working nights and weekends. You are.
If
And during
if
the
you
day.
if you want to be successful, yes.
Yes, yes. That's a good point, actually.
Well, so many people think all we do is, we talk to people, we put a sign in the yard, and we collect a check. There's so much more to that. So much
So
more, and so much more time.
yeah, and you don't realize until you start doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Just a quick selfish note here. I had a great mentor to start with, and we ended up being just really, really good friends. But when I first got started, after, you get your license, or anyway, here in Texas, you get your license, hired by or join a brokerage, and back then everybody had a desk. They give you a desk, and I remember sitting down at the desk going, "Oh my God, what do I do now?" And so I started talking to the top producers in the office, going, if I buy you a cup of coffee, will you tell me how you got started? And everybody was so agreeable to that. I mean, I only had one person that said no, thank you. And then it finally got around to the owner of the brokerage what I was doing, and she called me in her office, and I thought, oh, what have I done now? And she goes, what's wrong with me? And I said, what? What? And she goes, why haven't you asked me to sit down and talk to you? I said, oh, would you? So she sat down with a group of us, bought us lunch, and people are usually very agreeable to helping if you just ask. And
Yeah, and
I actually wrote a book that included all of their suggestions, so it'll
yeah.
help new agents.
Well, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. I will say I do get people a lot more on social media, and they could be local people, but they'll message me on social media asking to pick my brain.
Yeah.
That's why my approach, I think, is a little bit different nowadays and age is I'm not gonna let somebody just like pick my brain. I just don't have the time or bandwidth of it all. But if it's like, hey, can I come shadow? Can I come watch? Can I come like, yeah, probably. But if you're trying to book out 30 minutes an hour of my time, I have a very detailed like calendar. So I imagine if agents now are listening and getting in, the cup of coffee thing might not work anymore. You might have to say, like, can I help take anything off your plate?
Well,
Like, can I,
yes, absolutely. I'm sure they'd be agreeable to that. Yeah, this
yeah.
was a few years. This was back when I first started, so it was a
I think that was
different
like
animal.
so what everybody did then, like, yeah, let's go get coffee. Let's go. Yeah, for sure back then, 100%. So I love that.
Well, what advice would you give to someone that's already in the business but kind of wants to make it to the next level? Is there any
Um,
general advice?
Make it to the next level, maybe price point or transaction, volume or any of it, all the above.
All of the above. I mean, I guess
Okay.
basically you have to just work harder at what you're already doing or reevaluate, talk to someone that will sit down and have coffee with you or
Yeah.
whatever and say, this is what I'm doing. Where's the hole in my plan kind of thing.
Yes. Yes. Um, for me, I think to increase to the next level, it's going to sound redundant, is going back to education. You probably don't have the systems in place or the
Yeah,
marketing in
systems.
place to get you more transactions. Something I also always say is GCI is for sale, gross commission income. It's for sale, right? I could go
Mhm.
buy a whole bunch of Zillow leads or formulate a Zillow Flex team, but they take a huge percentage. And when you actually
They
do your
do.
profit and loss statement on those, most of those teams aren't making huge profits. They really aren't. Um, so I don't love going that route with it, but you can always buy your commission at a cost.
Right.
So be wary of doing that and that advice that you get from people who just want you to pay for more ads. It's probably you need to either step up your marketing or if you're not a great marketer, you can look at so many people that don't even have social media and are great real estate agents. And that's because they're really good at relationships, right? Like
Exactly. That's
they'll
what
go
our
to a
business
bar,
is.
they'll go to a restaurant and talk to anybody and get business that way. But maybe if that's your avenue, you now have to go every night to dinner or to a restaurant
Yeah.
or sit at the bar. Like, you just may have to do more of that thing that is your strong suit and get the right connections that way.
Absolutely. I started out based on what one of the top producers told me. I started out having coffee at Starbucks every morning, and I still do that, and I still get business from it, and it does work.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's the whole like, don't be a secret agent.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can't be scared
Well,
to talk to people.
oh no, it's the wrong industry if you are.
Yeah.
Or you got to teach yourself. You got to push yourself to talk.
Yes,
So,
agreed.
Erica, we try to keep this to 25 or 30
Yeah,
minutes, so we're getting close to time. If you want to give any contact information, I know wolfcore.com is how they can find your digital ads program.
correct.
Your website's beautiful if you want to give them your website.
Thank you. So Wolfe of Real Estate, and it's Wolfe with an E of realestate.com. And you can also find me on all social platforms as Wolfe of Real Estate.
Okay, I think everybody should go follow her on social media and check out her course that she has. And thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're
Sure.
super busy. I really appreciate this.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Real and Real Estate Podcast. I hope today's insights have inspired and empowered you. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with anyone who might benefit. Have questions or a topic you'd like us to explore? We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and keep moving towards success.